Hi class, welcome back. If you've opened up this video, it means you're ready to start the second task and that you've hopefully completed the first one and you're quite happy with how to do that. So this second sheet that we're going to have a go at here takes really just a lot of the principles about formulas that we already learned in our last video and just applies them again in what might be a slightly more complicated sheet, but not hugely so. There are quite a lot of instructions here, so I'm going to walk you through it step by step. I'm going to take me a moment to explain to you, first of all, how you find the sheet, and second of all, what information is shown in it, so it maybe makes a bit more sense. So to find this, down at the bottom of your spreadsheet, you'll actually find, mine's kind of hidden, but down here you'll actually see there are two tabs in the exercises spreadsheet that's been attached to the assignment. So if you just go down and find task 2 and click on it, that will open this up here. This is really just a spreadsheet showing the sales figures for different branches in different cities of a company, and it shows the figures of how much they've taken in for each month for 6 months of the year. It also shows how much they actually took over the whole year, and we're going to use some formulas to work out some information like what percentage a given month's takings was of the total annual sales, and a few other things that we'll come to as we get to it. So really I just wanted to explain that first of all. The boxes that are grey are just the boxes that we are going to actually have to put some information into. Now if you find it easier to understand or to differentiate between what's in what box, you can, if you want, highlight them, and you could use this tool here to add borders around them. That's your preference. I'm just going to leave mine blank for now though. So let's go and have a look at the instructions. The first task here asks us in row 14, so let's find where that is. This is this row here. Okay, so in that row, in these grey cells in that row, it's asking us to find a total for all the sales for that branch, which are in the cells above. So that means here we are looking to find the total of all of these figures here. Now, keeping this really simple, we're going to just do it by using the add formula. There is a function that we'll learn about in our next lesson which would allow us to achieve this result much more quickly, and you'll probably find it'll automatically suggest to do this in your spreadsheet. Google Sheets is quite smart. Sometimes it'll say, well, this is what you're probably trying to do, and it'll suggest that you use a technique. It's not that it's wrong, it's just that for the purpose of this, I want to go through it on a basic process so you understand how it works. And then when we move on to next week's lesson, we'll learn a little bit more about how to use that function. So for now, I'm going to type in the first thing that we always start with, which is equals. And you'll see it's suggesting what it thinks I want to do. I'm just going to get rid of that. I'm going to just do equals, and then I'm simply going to do this, or I'm going to click on this cell, and then I'm going to click the plus button, and then I'm going to click on that cell, and then I'm going to hit the plus key again, that cell, plus key again, click that cell, plus key again, click that cell, plus key again, finally click that cell. Make sure not to add an extra plus because we don't need to add anything else. So we've basically made a formula that just equals that cell, add 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 that cell. Having done that, we can just hit enter, and you'll see that in here it's taken all those values and added them up. Now, because we need to do the same thing here and here, rather than going to all the hassle of doing exactly the same thing, what we can remember is that with relative referencing, if I copy that cell, what will happen is it doesn't copy the number that's in there, it copies the formula that's in there, which is this. Okay, so we're going to copy that cell. We're going to use Control-C. You can do right-click copy if you prefer though. And then we're going to come over to here, and we're going to paste that. And because of relative referencing, it knows that instead of searching for figures from all the B column, it's now going to search for figures in the D column. So when we paste that in there, you'll see the formula is the same, but it's changed to D because it's relative to where we've pasted it. Likewise, if we paste it in here, you'll see the same thing happen. So only having to make that formula once, we can then just copy and paste it as long as the way it relates to the cells around it is the same. Hopefully that makes sense. So that's us now found out what the total is for half a year's sales. The next thing here is the estimated annual sales. And if basically what we're saying is that this is the total for half a year, we could roughly estimate what we'd make in a whole year by multiplying that by 2. So for that, we're going to go into row 15, which is this row here. And we're going to take that figure there, the total, and we're going to multiply it by 2. So we're simply going to put in equals, we're going to select that cell, and then we're going to do the asterisk for multiply 2. Enter, we've got the figure. Now you'll see this hasn't actually come up as a currency. That's fine, we can just go up here and click on the Formats Currency button and that'll turn it into currency. You'll see it's added zeros, decimals at the end we don't need, so we can use the decrease decimal places button here just to bring that in line with all the other information. And again, we can just copy that, so I'm going to Control C and then Control V, I'm going to paste it in here and here, and you'll see just like before, it's going to change that formula so it relates to the cell above them. Now, row 17, the difference. So that should be the difference between the actual annual sales, which we have, which is in here, okay, and the estimated annual sales. So to find that difference, what we want to do is, I'll just go down to here, what we want to do is take the annual sales and minus the estimated annual sales from it. So we're going to take the annual sales, okay, so in difference here, we're going to do equals, we're going to select the annual sales, we're going to do minus the estimated annual sales. So that will be equals B16 minus B15. Hit enter, that's fine. Again, we can copy that, just paste it here and paste it here. You'll see that comes up as negative, and it's just because in these two examples here and here, the annual sales are higher than the estimated annual sales, and in this one it's lower, and that's why it's a negative value. Moving on to H16, for our total annual sales, that's going to add up all of the annual sales from that row here and give us a total there. So again, this is just an addition, okay, we want to add them together. So we're going to do equals that cell plus that cell plus that cell. So that should look like equals B16 plus D16 plus F16. Hit enter, we've got our total. We need that because we want to work out for each of the branches in each month what percentage of this total of 39,800, what percentage that amount is. So to do that, we're going to do something really quite simple, but we need to remember that as we copy and paste this formula down these different rows and paste it around here, if they reference this single cell, and we don't make sure that we make sure that's a bad way of explaining that, and we don't absolute reference it, whenever we copy and paste it, it will start looking in cells, you know, along to the side and down below, and it won't work. So what's really important here is that we go to divide the month sales. So we're going to take that equals, so we're going to equals that. We're going to do the divided, so it's the forward slash, by that, okay? So you see that? So we've got the month sales divided by the total annual sales, but we need to make sure that it's absolute referenced, okay? Now, I didn't explain this last time, but there is actually on your keyboard, if you press the F4 key, you'll see that's a shortcut to make it absolute referenced, whichever cell you've currently got selected. On a Chromebook, I think you have to press the search button and key 4, or your number key 4, for it to pick up the what we'd call it the function buttons. Okay. If you can't figure it out, don't worry about it. Just put in the dollar symbol. So you simply type in the dollar symbol before the H and the 16. But that's us. So we basically got that divided by that. Now, at the moment, that just gives us a really unpleasant long decimal, and that is actually a proportion of 1. You know, so we want to make that a percentage. So we're going to change that to a percentage, and you'll see that now changes it, rounds it, so it's 2.01%. So 800 is 2.01% of that. Okay, and having done that, we can just copy. And there we go. And then we're going to do the same thing here. So we paste that, and then we're going to use our wee blue button to just click and drag. And then again here, and we can just click and drag. So all of a sudden, we've been able to work out the percentages for 18 different calculations in a matter of seconds, just because we used one formula and we're able to copy it and reuse it. Hopefully, through this lesson, you've gotten a sense of how valuable spreadsheets can be anywhere we're trying to deal with information about numbers, whether that's statistics or finances or whatever it might have to be. And actually, formulas might sound complicated, but they are not terribly difficult to master, particularly for simple things like adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. Maybe you could give this a try at home, make up your own spreadsheet where you work out your monthly budget for your house or some other thing. It could be your top scores in a game that you play over a period of time. But in any case, hopefully you found that useful. And if you've got any questions, you can just let me know.